Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to change a tire using a Harbor Freight tire changer. You don't necessarily need a Harbor Freight tire changer. I've seen the same style on Amazon, eBay. Just look online for manual tire changer and you'll see the style. They're not that expensive and they can save you a lot of time, money, and headache, especially if it's 8 o'clock at night and you have a blown tire and need something repaired pretty quick. You don't have to wait till in the morning. If you got a big job coming up, especially if you have a small business, that was the main purpose of me getting into doing this on my own. But first I'll be showing you what tools you need. I'll show you some tools that you don't necessarily need but makes the job easier, and then I'll show you step by step how to change the tire. Let's get into it. First thing you're going to need is a tire changer. I picked this particular one up at Harbor Freight, but I've seen this style online a lot, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. As you can see, I have it lag bolted to a pallet. The reason I do this is because it's easy to remove the lag bolts and store this on a shelf when I'm not using it. And when I do need it, I always have a pallet nearby. Grab the pallet, bolt it to it, and you wouldn't think that the pallet would do much for you, but when you're standing on it, it adds that much support. And I've changed very large trailer tires before with this. It doesn't move around, works great. You can also mount it to concrete or whatever you prefer. It's really up to you. This is called a bead blaster. You don't necessarily need this tool. There are other methods that you can use to seat the bead to the wheel. I'm not going to get into those because I'm using the bead blaster. You can do your own research. I will say the other methods are somewhat dangerous. If you're going to do this, just get the tool and do it right. Obviously you need a tire in order to change the tire. You need the wheel. The reason I'm getting to this is because I'm going to show you the valve stem, and I'll show you the tools in a moment that I'm talking about, but they have metal valve stems and rubber valve stems. In this particular case, I'm using a metal valve stem. So I'm showing an air hose here. That's connected to an air compressor, which you will need. I don't imagine you really need a large one. You just need something that can get up to around 100 psi to fill up the bead blaster and to use to pump your tire up. You're going to need an air gun to blow all the debris off of your wheel and your tires, because you want everything clean before you begin to mount. You need some type of gauge. You need these bead holders. You don't necessarily need those, but it will make it a million times easier, because when you start to mount a tire, the bead kind of slides around and these will hold it in place. And you'll see these in use in a moment and you'll kind of get the picture of what I'm talking about. You don't, like I said, need them, but now that I've used them, you need them, if that makes sense. I like having different sizes of tire irons. I have a small set right there. Those come in handy, and the big ones come in handy. The tire changer itself comes with that red thing right there, the long bar. You can use that to change tires. It kind of scratches the wheels up pretty bad, and I've used that. Matter of fact, when I first got this kit, that's all I had, so I've used that multiple times to change wheels and tires, and it does work. You need a valve stem tool, which is that little yellow handle deal. That particular one has like a torque feature in it, so you can turn it, the valve stem I mean, until it clicks, and then you know the torque is correct. You need, I don't know what that tool is. It's like an air chuck that when you connect air to it, it blows continuously. I'll have it linked in the description. I don't know the exact term for that, but it's a continuous flow air chuck is what we'll call it. The green handle tool right there is what you use for your rubber valve stems. The little end of it, you thread it to the rubber valve stem, and then you can pull it through the wheel using the leverage of the tool. There's my 1/4 inch torque wrench, which I'm going to be showing you in a moment for your metal valve stems. And that Allen wrench right there, I'll show you the sizes of it when we actually get to that point. But the Allen wrench holds the valve stem so that you can torque with the torque wrench. And you need soapy water. I just use dish detergent and water, shake it up real well. And what that does is, one, you can check for leaks. You can use that, spray it all around the wheel, the tire, to make sure nothing's leaking once you're done. But for two, you can spread it around the bead and it lubricates everything so that the bead of the tire matches up with the wheel and everything goes smooth. It also makes it easier when you're mounting the tire. If you spray that on the tire, it'll keep everything lubed up and nothing will be getting stuck and bonding up on you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put your wheel on your tire changer. This little stud right here needs to go through your lug nut hole or your stud hole. So you set it on there and get it as center as you can. run that through your stud hole. Set the wheel on the tire changer, get it as close to center as you can. Then you get this little part that came with your tire changer. See how it's angled out like that? I hope you can see that anyway. Set that on your wheel. Kind of turn it to where it kind of locks in place. You're going to be turning it clockwise to tighten it down. Put it on there until it's locked in place. Get this piece that also came with your tire changer. Set it down on there. Put it on. Get it as tight as you can by hand. And then you get your bar that came with your tire changer. Stick it through this hole and turn it. You don't want to dog it down crazy tight, but you want it tight enough that the thing's not going to spin and not going to be moving around, because if this starts moving around, you're going to be scratching your wheel up and it's going to make it more difficult for you. Now we're going to talk about the valve stem. If you have a rubber valve stem, you simply just pull it through and it has little grooves that fits in the wheel. No big deal, you're done. With these metal valve stems, this particular wheel came with the valve stem mounted. I'll put a link in the description of the ones that I usually use that I've had really good luck with. But what I'm getting at is this wheel had this stem already mounted, and I always recommend that you check the torque. You need an Allen wrench and a torque wrench for this. This particular valve stem is somewhere around 40 inch-pounds. This nut is 14 millimeters, and this Allen wrench, it should be metric, but oh, you're not gonna focus. Should be metric, but this particular one's 7/32. For some reason, I didn't have a metric Allen wrench, and this 7/32 fits in there just perfect. I have hundreds of Allen wrenches, but I didn't have any metric ones that fit in this valve stem. Anyways, so you stick your Allen wrench in there, the back side of the valve stem, and then you just check it. I've already checked this one, but I'll give you an idea of what I'm doing. Sticking it in there, got to stick to 40 inch-pounds. Get it on there like that. See it clicking, you know the torque's correct. That's all for that. Now we can start mounting the wheel to the tire. First thing you're gonna wanna do is get your air hose and blow all the dirt and debris off your wheel, all the dirt and debris off of your tire, as well as the inside of your tire. And we're really more concerned about the bead of the tire. You don't want a bunch of garbage in there. I'm gonna go ahead and do that to save your ears because this is really loud. Now that you've blown off the debris from the inside and the bead of your tire and your wheel, you wanna get your soapy water mixture and spray it on the bead of the tire. Only one side, because you can only do one side of the tire at a time. So when you get that lubed up really good, and the side that you lubed up, get it started on the wheel. And it generally goes on about halfway. You just push it as far as you can manually before you break out the tire irons. I messed around and let my tire dry out while trying to make this video, so I had to respray. You want to do this kind of quick once you get started, so get your tire irons, your bead holder. You're gonna notice one of your tire irons has more of a bend in it than the other side does. And we're gonna use the side with more of a bend. We're gonna hold it at this angle to work this under the tire and above the rim so that you can push the tire down like so. And you're only gonna do one side of the tire first, and then you'll work on the other side of the tire in a moment. Now that you got that side popped on, you can get your soapy water, and you're gonna need to spray this side of the bead really well so that you can work it onto the rim. Just like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and get both of my bead holders. I didn't use the bead holder in the last clip, but in this clip I definitely will. And these are very helpful when you're doing higher top pliers. These are load E tires, but if you go higher than that, I would definitely say you need these. You start by holding the tire iron the same way we did in the past clip. Get it under your tire and over your wheel, get it started, just like that. I'll just put your bead holder, slide it up as far as you can. And it's kind of difficult doing this on camera. It's a lot faster when I don't have the camera. I'm trying to hold everything from falling and all so I can show you guys. But, so now this is holding this side of the bead. And remember, take little bites. There you go. Get this one. Clamp it on there like that. And you can either do that. Sometimes you can slide the tire iron out. Sometimes you can't. Get 2 tire irons. Because like I said, this is being held by that. So do that, just work it on. Hold that. Slide this a little bit. Slide a little bit. You just keep going around the tire like that and work it on. And I'm trying to stay out of y'all's way so you can see what I'm doing here. And when it pops on like that, you can go ahead and remove these because you don't need them anymore. Next thing you're going to want to do is pump up your bead blaster. And with this one, let's get my air compressor. You make sure this valve's turned off, because if you have it on, it's just gonna, all air is gonna blow out. Connect your air. Okay, and then you turn this valve on, and you'll see this gauge start to rise. And I'll just pump it up to whatever my air compressors have in them. As long as it's got 100 or 120, something like that, is completely fine and it'll work. Now that you got your bead blaster pumped up, you want to feel around the top and the bottom of your tire to make sure no part of the tire is stuck to the wheel. Like this. Just kind of go around, make sure everything's kind of in a happy spot, nothing hung up. I always go around the bottom side too. Make sure nothing's stuck, snag on anything. Give it a little visual. Top looks good. Bottom looks good. Now you want to get your valve stem tool, remove the valve stem. And it's important that this valve stem, you put it in a nice clean spot. You don't want a bunch of dirt and debris all over this thing. So this is going to be the loud part. I'm going to get the talking done before. You want to get your air tool. You want to get your soapy water. You want to spray soapy water all over the top and the bottom bead. Then you want to connect your tool to your valve stem and then connect your compressed air to your tool. And that will, since you removed your valve stem, that will keep air continuously blowing into your tire. Then you want to get your bead blaster and blast air into the bead, and it should accept. And since you've sprayed soapy water all everything, that'll be lubricated, and you're gonna see the tire start to fill up on the outer walls of the wheel, and it'll begin filling up with air. It's gonna be very loud, so when I do this, be prepared. So now you hear it filling up with air. I'm gonna let it go for maybe 15 seconds or something. You don't want to overinflate the thing. So I'll turn the camera off. It's been running for probably about 15 seconds. I'm gonna remove the air tool. You're gonna hear air blowing out of it. Then we gotta get our valve stem tool and our valve stem and put the stem back in the wheel. When you're putting this in,
since it clicks when it's torqued in, you want to turn this until it clicks, and then you know the stem's torqued. Now your tire is ready to put air. These tires are ready for 80 psi, so I'm going to put 80 psi in it, and then we'll move to the next step. I don't know why I kept calling it valve stem. I meant valve core. We'll put the valve core back in, and we remove the valve core. I don't know why I kept saying stem. Anyhow, now that everything's quiet, I pump my tire up to the 80 psi. This went down to 78, and that doesn't mean anything, because I'll explain something to you. When your air compressor is running, it's making the air hot. So you're putting hot air into your tire. As it cools off, the pressure is going to go down. So it's completely normal for your tire to go down. If you pumped it up to what it should be, it's completely normal for go down like 5 psi. If you check your tire at different times in the day, like let's say wintertime in the morning, you check your tires and they're 30 psi, and you check them in the evening when it's still got hot, they're 40 psi. That's completely normal. That's why they say cold pressure on the tire. I'm not sure if you've ever noticed that, but anyways, since the tire's pumped up and I know I have what's supposed to be in it, I'm gonna now check for leaks around the bead and the valve core, valve stem. Now I'm calling the valve stem the valve core. Anyways, let's do that. I'll spray everything down with soap, and you want to look for bubbles. Let it sit for a while. Didn't see any bubbles. We're 100% ready to take this thing off and use it now. To take the wheel off, you do the opposite of what you did to put it on. Stick the tool in there, loosen this, spin it off, take this off, remove your tire and wheel, and you're ready to use it. Well, that's all there is to it, guys. The reason that I got into doing this, like I said, is I had a tree service and landscaping company, and it seemed like I always had flat tires or nails in my tire at the worst possible times. When I bought all this stuff, or when I bought the tire changer in particular, I bought the other things as I went along and learned that they would help me do this faster and easier. It was about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, had a tire explode, and it was on a Sunday. So, no, it was on a Saturday night, and Sunday, the tire companies weren't going to open until like 11 or 12 o'clock around here, and I had to go back to the job. The job was an hour and a half away anyway, so long story short, it just messed my day all up, and I found out that I could do this, found out it wasn't that difficult, and I also use like tire plugs and everything. You have to properly patch a tire, you have to use this because you got to not completely remove the tire from the wheel, but you got to break the bead so you can get to the hole from the inside and patch it from the inside. And I do realize that tire companies do this for free a lot of the times, but to me, the convenience of not having to drive an hour round trip and then have to wait and then someone scratch my wheels up and mess my car up and not torque things down right. I just know everything's done right, and my OCD is cured in a sense with this. So I hope you guys got something from that. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comment, like, subscribe. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll see you guys in the next one.